It's like having a key card with certain security clearances, right? Certain people in my life have levels of authority that I've granted to them. Doesn't mean they have access to the whole damn building. All right, what I'm going to discuss today is something that maybe no one's ever said to you before. From the moment you were born, certain people around you, people in your life, directly in your life or peripherally in your life, have had authority over you, power, influence over you. It's only natural as children that we have this authority taken from us by our parents, by our grandparents, older siblings, people who are there to keep us safe. The natural order of things is for us to claim more and more authority for ourselves as time goes on, in the form of responsibility, in the form of self-care, self-sustenance, being able to take care of myself and my needs over time. What I notice more and more as I look around, look within, I see men and women arriving at adulthood and still having not claimed full authority for themselves. Let's look at the word authority, the root word, author. I like to think of authority as synonymous with a book. Author. Who is the author of the story of me? The story of Jetty. As I'm growing up, my parents tell that story. My siblings, my elders, my mentors, teachers, guides, coaches, friends, girlfriends, lovers, partners. As I mature and get older, I become more discerning in who I allow to put an entry into the book of my life. There are certain people that I still give authority to. I trust their mirror, their reflection of who I am, how they experience me, because I know that they don't mean to do any harm. Whether they say something positive or negative or effective or ineffective about me, I know that they're not trying to harm me. There's nothing in it for them. That's the value of having close, confident building relationships, confidants, people that we can confide in. But all too often, I see people walking around in the world giving authority to the mailman, to social media, to the mob on YouTube that has a particular opinion about what you look like when you're doing your booty dance. We look for validation outside of ourselves naturally, instinctually as humans. It's one of the ways in which we see our value in the mirror of community. The only problem is that a lot of us are lazy or ignorant about the way that we're giving authority to our community, who I've given authority to. Anytime somebody makes a negative comment about a post I make, something that I put on my social media, and that triggers me, that's an example of where I've given authority to that person. I've given them power to influence how I feel about myself based on what they say about me. That's on me. They got to take responsibility for their words, but the way I feel about it, the way I receive what is said, that's on me. These are the tricky little ways that we give authority and influence to other people over how I feel and how I see myself. Now, one end of the spectrum of authority is to take that pen and not give anybody permission to reflect back to me. This is what we would call narcissism or narcissistic behavior, where only me matters and only my story of myself matters. All this talk about gaslighting, that's just a protective mechanism for somebody who is not willing to see themselves. We got to be careful who we're calling narcissists, who we're accusing of gaslighting. All of those words can be really problematic, but it all comes back to an honest conversation of who are you giving authority to have say over how you see yourself? Who are the people that you trust? Who are the people that their reflection, their opinion, their assessment of you matters, actually holds weight? Sit down right now, pause this episode, make a list of the people who you give that authority to, and realize that it's not black or white. Just because I give my wife certain authority over how she experiences me, because I value her reflection, she sees me more than most people do in my life, so I value how she experiences me and what I might have to learn from that. But I don't give her authority over everything. I don't give my wife authority or say over how I'm fathering my child. Fathering my children, that's my domain. That's my territory. Now I have men in my life who are fathers, who I've witnessed in the way they father their children, that I give them authority to reflect back to me how they're experiencing me and my fathering. Here's a really simple example, right? I wouldn't give authority to my son to tell me how good of a basketball player I am. My son barely knows how to dribble, right? Now, Steph Curry, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, any one of those guys, whatever they have to say about my jump shot, I'm going to listen because I've given them authority. I see them as having a skill set that could be valuable for me to look at and reflect back to me. It's like having a key card with certain security clearances, right? Certain people in my life have levels of authority that I've granted to them. Doesn't mean they have access to the whole damn building. There's very few people in my life that I'm willing to let them look and reflect back all the different domains of my life because I trust them like that, have that level of trust and respect and accountability with them. But most of us, many of us, we're giving that security clearance away to people into departments that they don't have authority in, that they don't have value or experience in. We're giving that security clearance and authority away to people who don't even belong in the building, oftentimes. So I want to invite you to think about this. Really take a good look. If you have to, shut down this episode, pull out a piece of paper, and make a list of all the people in your life whose opinions you value. Not just the ones you respect, but all the people that you also get triggered by. Because if there's somebody out there whose opinion triggers you, it means that they have some grasp on power over you, authority over you. And you've given it to them. Consciously or unconsciously, you've given them permission. You've given them security clearance over that thing that they're mirroring back to you. And maybe you don't want to do that anymore. In fact, I would challenge you to be much more deliberate, much more discerning in where you're giving that authority away. Don't just take all that authority in, because we don't want to slide to that narcissistic end of the scale where nobody can tell me about me. But be more deliberate and discerning in whose authority matters the most. Whose opinions, assessments, and reflections do I trust in this particular domain of my life? And be very conscious of that. It doesn't need to be a huge web or net of people. In fact, in small villages and small communities, the reflection of a few, of a very intimate, close-knit community of people, 50, 60, less than 100, was all that a human needed to fully develop into their full potential. That's why it's so risky for us to go out into the world of social media and expose ourselves to the assessments of millions, literally millions and billions of people who have no idea who we are, whose words, public words about us might knock me down. Don't let that happen. Don't let that happen. It's on you. If you let somebody's words trigger you and screw up your whole day, it's because you gave them that authority. And all I'm asking you to do, all I'm inviting you to do and challenging you to do is take a closer look at who you're giving the pen to. Who are you allowing to tell the story of you? Think about that. I'll be back next week, Monday Morning Meditations, right here on the Rising Man Podcast. Catch you later.